Hi, I'm Jen Bonet, Executive Director of the Creative Coast. The Creative Coast is a nonprofit organization that was founded over 20 years ago to help entrepreneurs and creatives and technologists succeed in the Savannah region. So Entrepreneurs Night is really a live podcast where we interview a successful entrepreneur from the Savannah region. Our goal is to document and share the origin stories of the companies that are getting things done here in the Savannah region. Good evening. This is Jen Bonet with the Creative Coast, and this is Entrepreneurs Night. So we're really excited to have you with us. Again, the Creative Coast is a nonprofit entity that exists in the Savannah region, and we're all about empowering entrepreneurship and the technology community here in Savannah. And Entrepreneurs Night is really about sharing the story of a successful technology entrepreneur in the city of Savannah. And tonight we have Cason Carter with Broughton Partners with us. Thanks for being here, Cason. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your background?
Absolutely. So I graduated from Clemson University in 2011 and with a major in marketing and focus on entrepreneurship and sales, and quickly knew that I wanted to eventually be a business owner and wanted to run my own business. But in order to get there, I felt like the best path for me to understand the economics of a business and just have a life lesson, the best for me was sales. And that was figuring out how to get people to move and how to generate revenue. Because at the end of the day, no company is built without revenue, right? It's not all about revenue. I think that revenue is like I tell people here all the time, it's like the blood that keeps us moving, but it's not who we are, right? And so I think that being able to create revenue is such an important thing for businesses, and something that is a great skill to have for anyone, being able to be told no over and over and over again. So went into sales and moved around the country with 2 different companies and wound up in Atlanta, close to where I'm from, Blairsville, Georgia, and was doing captive insurance sales for a company called Federated. And it was great experience because I'd worked my way up enough where I got to work on deals that were larger in value and understanding the life cycle of a large account and the different levels of a large account through the C-level team and things like that, and making it all the way up to the CFO and CEO for decisions. And so it was really good for me to understand how the decisions were made in businesses like that, right? And so that was a big light for me, and a lot of good lessons were learned there, and ultimately was doing well, and wanted to be out on my own though, and started moonlighting for a company that was selling software out of Atlanta. And about 6 months into that, haven't received a paycheck for them yet, but at the end of the day, knew that's what I wanted to do, and it earned some equity with them, and looked at my fiance and said, I'm going to quit my job with insurance. And she says, you're out of your mind. And everybody thought I was crazy. And I said, no, I'm going to go full time doing this. And we're going to figure it out. And I think that, I had started 10 or so different businesses, I would say, all the way from I had a successful landscaping company in high school and had a bunch of buddies working for me. And sometimes working with buddies isn't so well, and we had quickly grew to where we got subdivisions. And so we stopped taking contracts with individual homeowners and had subdivisions during the boom of 2006 and whatnot. And that taught me a lot as well. Wish I would have known a little bit more, because I'd have sold those contracts instead of just getting out. But at the end of the day, I had a lot of businesses when I was working insurance too. And I think that one of the things was the best lesson for me was going all in on something. And there's nothing like when you have your back against the wall, because there's something about that moment that it's like you get your master. I tell people all the time, I feel like I got my master's in the School of Hard Knocks with learning through a business that trying to figure out how to make it run. And you have to do some wildly unscalable things in the beginning to make sure that you're successful, and you are working crazy hours. But that is an incredible lesson. And during that time, I'd met my partner, and he said, look, let's go out on our own and start this other business. You're a minority partner and you don't like the direction that company's headed. And I said, what would it be? And we just kind of were throwing stuff together and we started it. And so I was moonlighting again within 6 months. And I'm feeling like, this was maybe a bad decision, but moonlighting again. And finally, another point, I looked at my fiance and I said, well, we're going to move to Savannah and I'm going to start this other company full time. And so at this point, I'm looking a little bit crazy to my friends, family, everyone, right? Had a great job, left for a company that I'd been moonlighting for. And now within 6 months to 8 months later, I'm already doing it again, right? And we're picking up and moving cities. And so moved down here on a kind of a women of prayer. And it was something that was the best decision of my life. And I said, I was told my business partner at the time, I said, I'll move to Savannah for a year and I'm getting right back to Atlanta. We're going to get everything set up and then I'm going to run sales from Atlanta. And he's not here in Savannah anymore. And I'm still here. So it's been one of the best decisions ever. I love Savannah. I love the culture down here and I love the lifestyle, but it's been great. Savannah's been great to us. And we've built an incredible team here. So I think that culture is everything, and I would never want to leave the culture that we have in this building pre-COVID, obviously right now, but hoping to get back to that soon. And I think that really is one of the biggest things that drives a business. And so it's been incredible ever since.
Awesome. I love that. And I love that you ended up here in Savannah. I spent obviously most of my career in Atlanta. So I'm also a fan of Atlanta and done a lot of startups there. Tell us a little bit more about launching Broughton Partners and how you got into the software industry that you're in today in Broughton Partners.
So we're, really when you look at us, we're a tech-enabled service, right? We are not a total software play in the fact that we sell software as a product, but with all the things that we bring to the table for our partners, we enable them through our services, but it is tech-enabled and allowing them to operate better. For example, what we essentially do is Broughton Partners markets for claimants for law firms across the nation. And we help those law firms get those cases in the door. We do the intake for them. We do the signing, and then we deliver it to their case management software for them through integrations. And so we're constantly building products that we're never going to be able to sell. That is to better provide our service. And so when you look at our product, it is the fact that we're delivering claimants to them, to people, or for people who need help. But we couldn't do it without software that we've put in place today. And so our software product is a better way to get our claimants to the law firms. And so we're building a lot of integrations, we're building a lot of portals, we're building those types of things all the time. That is simply a benefit of our service. So it's interesting when you look at it from a software company, but we have been labeled that a lot from the standpoint that we bring a different approach than other companies in our industry.
Very cool. Very cool. Do you find that you're doing kind of integrations to the same case management software over and over again? Or is it, is there some scalability there? Is a lot of it one-off?
No, so we do a lot now, and we've gotten much better at it. In the beginning, it was like, wow, this is, we got a long road ahead trying to figure out how to do this, but it's the same 6 over and over, which is good. And so we get better at it. The changing things for us, though, that we have to always be keeping up with, and one of the projects we're working on now is that we're working on certain case types that will be gone within a year, right? And so the SOLs will expire. There'll be new case types because we work in mass tort type litigation, defective product, and pharmaceuticals and devices. And so once a Roundup lawsuit moves away and the SOLs expire and they settle that, we'll have a new one. And so that creates new fields, new forms, new things that come out. And so that's constantly a back and forth way of working with the firm and communicating and making sure we're on the same page. And so we're looking for ways to standardize that across the industry.
That's neat. It reminds me of a company I worked with a couple of years ago that was always helping people in the medical space find people for clinical trials. So it's a similar thing, right? There's certain type of characteristic of a person that they're looking for to join the clinical trial so that they can get FDA approval for the drug, right? So
Right.
it's similar, little different, but always looking for a new customer type, always looking for a new claimant type as you know,
Right.
depending on the situation. So tell us where you're at now, like Broughton Partners. How many locations do you have? How many employees do you have? How many customers do you have?
Yeah. So when we started in 2017, there was a couple things that shifted real quick, and that was we knew that we couldn't just be a marketing company. We had to be a full service, end-to-end turnkey solution for these attorneys to receive clients. And we weren't going to be able to do that by counting on their call center. That meant we couldn't be sending leads in. So we had to create our own internal intake department. And then we had to deliver that to their system in a seamless manner. And so we have an intake team based out of here in Savannah. But with COVID happening and changing a lot of different things, we have found ways to hire all across the country. And it's also changed our mindset a little bit on location. So currently we have 2 locations. We were planning on expanding to Atlanta this year for a 3rd location. And that location was simply going to be our safe haven for hurricanes, because a hurricane happens and it typically puts us about a month behind in the past, because by the time that we get everything back up and running after 3 days, then you have a buildup of 3 days because the whole nation's not hit by a hurricane, right? So we still have things coming in. And then you try to work through those, but it puts you in a bottleneck situation that you're working your way out of for a month or so. And so we said, we're going to get this Atlanta location, have some people working there, but also have enough capacity to send our team from here and get them hotel rooms in Atlanta and be able to work from Atlanta. But with what's happening now and the work from home policies that are going on, we see it much different in the sense that we'll still get the hotel rooms and get them set up, but we don't necessarily have to have a location for that. And so right now, I believe we're at around 150 employees. And when we are able to come back into the office, I think about 120 of those are based out of Savannah.
Excellent. Wow, that's great. About how many customers do you have at any given point in time?
So I believe last year we had around 550 customers, 550 law firms.
Awesome. We will have a lot of folks that tune in to this that are very early in their entrepreneurial journey. And I always talk about, the ever important first paying customer. So can you tell us a little bit about how you got your first paying customer for Broughton Partners?
Yeah, it was the first paying customer in our niche now, I think, is a more important story for us.
Yeah.
Because when we first started, I remember I was moonlighting for a software company that sold to personal injury attorneys. And so we thought we were going to work on all types of leads for attorneys. And so we worked naturally with a couple of customers that I had from the software company and sold them leads and were able to get them into their software, but quickly found this passion for mass torts. And the first customer that we were able to get for that was a guy actually approached us who we were working with on the lead side and said, have you thought about generating cases on this side? And we said, no, we haven't. And we generated, this was very early, 2 months in. And he said, well, I like what you're doing on the auto accident side. Would you consider looking at this? And we looked at it and we said, yeah, we'll give it a shot. And we tried to run a campaign. In the beginning, you just run things to see what works, right? And you're trying to find your way the best you can. And we got into it, and it was a very attractive thing because you didn't have to worry about geographical regions. You didn't have to worry about state lines. If attorney was practicing in Georgia, you didn't have to worry about only focusing in Georgia. And so, so many people out there think that attorneys are doing their own, they're advertising on their own, or that they're bringing in the cases. And what they don't understand is with these nationwide types of claims, there is no attorney presence that covers the whole nation in the plaintiff industry. And that's because you have to be a lawyer to own part of a law firm. And so that means that there's been no private money ever come into the legal space. And with that being the case, then at the end of the day, these law firms are all very segmented, and they don't grow past 300 people, it seems like, right? They haven't had consolidation of softwares, processes, all those things that you see across banking, accounting, and all these other industries. And so the nationwide presence of a national law firm doesn't exist. And so these claimants have to find these lawyers somehow. And so we help them through advertising and work on behalf of the attorneys and signing those up. And so it's a very cool niche because it was underserved, especially when we were getting in, we felt like, and needed someone to come into that space. And so it makes it very interesting from that standpoint.
Cool. Very cool. Very, very cool. Did you guys take any outside money at anywhere along this journey, or is it all just self-funded and bootstrapped?
It was bootstrapped all along the way. And, there were times where that was extremely hard, and we had, some short-term debt from friends and family in the space and whatnot, mainly on MX and whatnot, but that we were working with, but never ever any money pulled. And so I'm very thankful for that, and taught us a lot, I think. But, we're not in a space where, it's a long life cycle to build a product and go out. It's been able to develop that life cycle of the product that we're delivering the claimants through as we go. So we've been lucky in the sense that we've been able to retain revenue and get better as we go. And it's about continuous growth with those solutions, but the revenue's coming in as we're doing that, which is nice.
Wow. Awesome. Congratulations. I mean, that's just phenomenal growth since 2017. So you get a lot of credit for that. That's fabulous. My next question is, when did you know that you were onto something, right? There's oftentimes like, you're like, it's was it roller coaster ride, the trough of despair. When did you really be like, okay, this thing's actually working. This is going to work for us.
I still don't have that moment. I think that, I know that we provide a lot of jobs. I'm very proud of that. We're very blessed. I think that have an incredible team, and everybody is instrumental into getting that done. And so I'm very proud of what we have here. I think that I consider myself so lucky to be a part of the team that we have here. But I think that complacency is where companies die. And we're in that critical phase right now between 100 employees and 500 employees, where you're trying to figure out that mid-layer translation layer and how you make sure that strategy is still getting executed on the front lines. And so it's a difficult stage. And I think that we have to make sure that we're able to grow through that and make sure that translation layer is put in place very solidly. And we also have a big culture of everybody having a part of the strategy, right? And everybody having a say. And I think that you'll hear me say it a lot, but culture is everything. And so for me, I try to approach it from the aspect every day like we haven't, like we're still going and we're going to get better. And, that's one of the things that drives me to get better every day is, what is that next step that we have to do to make sure that we're in a better place? And so we're still growing and we're still getting there. I know we had a viable solution. I would say that we learned that we had a viable solution pretty early on. But when did I think we got there, or we had something? We're still getting there.
You've mentioned culture a lot. So, I'm a big believer in culture, and my thought is by almost employee 6, if you're not creating culture, it's being created for you. So, what kind of activities have you taken to actively create the culture that you desire? Yeah,
we do a lot around it. I think that for a lot of people, I have another business partner now who came into the business, 2 years ago, and has been great for the business. And when he came in, and I was all about culture and talking about how we got to keep the culture and make sure we do it. He's like, I used to think culture was Gene Day and pizza for lunch, and but you find out so quick that it's about how your team responds to things. It's about how you treat your team. I tell our leaders all the time, we're big on building leaders, and we have a leadership. We have a leadership book club. We have leadership library. We have leadership training, and we offer it to all employees. And I think the important thing is that it's really a culture of you serve your team, they don't serve you, and the culture will kind of fall in place from there. And so when you put your priorities in line, and for us, it's the claimants we serve, then it's the employees, then it's our employees and our team, and then it's our law firms we work with. And everybody's always surprised that I say that's behind our employees, but without the claimants and our team taking care of them, the law firms would have nothing to do. And then the shareholders fourth. And when we get those priorities lined up and it's a win-win-win-win for all of those, it's a great decision. But if you can't make the win for the first, you got to make a win for the claimants first and then take care of the other ones after that. And so we really make sure and put an emphasis on taking care of our team. We make sure that our pay is fair all the time. We're reevaluating that. We believe in a culture that we promote from within. We always post our job postings before we put them out to the public to make sure there's no one internal that's looking for that may be qualified. And we promoted a ton from within. And we have a lot of really young leaders. We believe in developing people and giving them a chance through hard work. And so it's a core value of ours that we encourage we reward hard work and over aptitude, right? Because I think that there's something to be said for passion and hard work.
Love it. Love it. What has been your biggest challenge in growing Broughton Partners to the point it is today?
You face so many, and there's a challenge all the time. And I think there's a misconception with people about businesses that, you grow it and you can walk away, right? And, you get someone else to run it. And that as you get bigger, your job gets easier. It's all extreme misconceptions, in my opinion, if you're trying to grow and if you're trying to fulfill your vision and mission, which is, the biggest driver in our business. It's our vision and our mission. We're trying to create a world without corporate negligence. And if people aren't here for that reason, we don't want them to be here. And so for us, the problems get bigger and bigger all the time, but that's how you're growing. And so I think that those problems are always surfacing themselves. And when you stop having problems, I think that's an issue. And so we are always trying to push the ball forward. And we're trying to find the next problem because it's really an opportunity.
Awesome. Love it. What does success look like for you and for Broughton Partners?
So our vision is to create a world without corporate negligence, and our mission is to help 500,000 people by 2025. So success would be helping 500,000 people by 2025, and ultimately after that, accomplishing the vision.
Excellent. Excellent. And then kind of what's next? How do you expect, what are your growth plans?
There's a lot, and our roadmap is good, but we are taking a big step with our data storage and our cloud storage, and migrating everything to AWS and getting things from our transactional system into a cloud database for how we can help people more, and what we can be doing different internally, and what efficiencies we can find from machine learning and things like that. So we're taking a big emphasis on that right now and have a lot going on there. And so that's I think a huge part of where we're moving. And so I think that will build a lot of the building blocks for us for future growth and where we want to head. So it's really making sure that we have that stable platform right now, and then figuring out what the next steps are from there, based on, use cases as they come up. When, we have a backlog of use cases now, but we try to stay agile enough where the next use case could show up in a month from now, right?
Excellent.
The best use case.
Yeah. I'm a bit of a data geek myself, so I love that.
Nice.
We have a lot of new entrepreneurs that tune in for us. So do you have any, tips for a new entrepreneur? If you had to give a piece of advice or two to a brand new entrepreneur, what would your advice be?
I think that the biggest advice I could give is that 99% of the battle is won in between your ears on a daily basis. And some people say 90, 80%. I think it's 99.9. I think that positive attitude, praise, and encouragement and a positive culture are the most important things. And so if you can win the battle between your ears, burn the ship on what you're doing, meaning go all in, make sure you're all in, and have a positive attitude and know that you'll overcome anything that you put your mind to. That's the biggest thing. I think that great business owners, when they are great entrepreneurs, hit a roadblock, they don't stop, right? Do we have to put in 80, 90, 100 hours this week to figure out how to solve this, right? And so there's never a dead end. It's always, a wall you got to climb over, depending on how big a wall that is, just determines how much effort you got to put in. So there are no such thing as roadblocks. Once you have that idea, make sure you go after it, and don't be scared to pivot though too. I think that so many business owners get so in love and wanderlust with the idea that they're moving forward that they don't see that the product they're building could really be better used if they made this pivot and tweaked and solved the problem in this industry, right? And so you have to know that you're going after something great, and be willing to pivot, but really know that you'll overcome any battle there is and win the battle between your ears.
So I'm going to go back a second, because you have a really big mission and vision and a big goal for 2025. And you're only 4 years old. 2017 is when you were founded. When did you set that big goal of the 500,000 lives?
That was set at the end of 2019.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Just
so
thinking,
that was around the time
for people that are brand new, don't think that you're there, because you got to pivot to find the right place before you set that big goal, right?
Yeah, I think we kind of locked it in probably, 2000 into 2018, 2019, we were ready to lock in for that goal, and we knew that's what we were fighting for. And when we were so united behind that vision and mission, that's when you kind of know you're locked in, and that's a good moment to be in, right? It's a good moment to know that you are really pursuing a vision and mission. I'd say that, the end of 2018 for us, the middle of 2018, we knew, but nothing's perfect. And I think that you always got to start with a vision and a mission. And if it does tweak, make sure it's something you're passionate about. Be passionate about whatever it is. But once you get that locked in, it's important that you give it everything you got to go after that. At the end of the day, if it's not something you're passionate about, it's not going to be as successful. And so you have to make sure you're extremely passionate about it. But getting to that point where you are passionate about something, nothing's perfect. And so many people are, well, we're not going to lock a vision and a mission in because it's not perfect. We had 3 visions and missions before we came up with the one we got now. And I wasn't in love with any of them, but it was something that we could look at, right? And they were variations of where we're at today. And so nothing's perfect. No org chart's going to be perfect. We've redone that 500 times. I feel like no protocol is perfect. No process is perfect. Start somewhere, document, right? And as time goes on, tweak those things. And so it's always important to set that vision and mission. And if it does tweak, that's fine. But when you get locked in on something, it's great. So don't let the idea of being perfect slow you down from starting something.
Excellent. I love it. I just love it. And I love the vision. I mean, it's not about law firms getting clients. It's about the claimant. I love that.
And more importantly, it's, for us, it's about, and that's extremely important. Helping the claimants that have been injured is extremely important. But the only way to stop these corporations from doing it again is by holding them accountable in their pocketbooks, unfortunately, because, there's a lot of scenarios where these corporations are negligent and they knew about the negligence. They can't be tried criminally, even though they probably should be able to in a lot of scenarios. Mm-hmm. And so the only way we can put a stop to it for future corporations is to show them that we will make you pay, and this is going to be something serious for you. And so it's about changing the future for everyone, and also taking care of the people that have been harmed by no fault of their own.
Awesome. I love it. Mark has joined us, and Mark always asks the best questions. So I'm going to just throw it out there and see if Mark's got any questions.
Awesome.
Okay, Cason. Yes. Congratulations on the growth you're experiencing and this opportunity. Some of the questions I have I'm not completely familiar with your business model. So that's what these questions revolve around. First one is, when I think of attorneys advertising their services, I think of numerous billboard and TV ads. How does your approach to lawyer lead generation vary from this strategy?
So you've probably seen us on TV. Our brand that we work with is Guardian Legal Network. And so we advertise on behalf of attorneys, right? But we're advertising as an affiliated attorney. So we're not advertising under an attorney brand, and we're not saying that we are attorneys. And then when they come to us, we qualify them and send them to the law firm. So we're not selling cases, we're selling qualified retainers, right? And so we are not affiliated with a law firm. We're not advertising with we're a law firm. And so we are working on behalf of the attorneys. And the best way to do that is to get them in, screen them, make sure that they're a qualified retainer, and then get them to the attorney. And so it's not on a law firm, but when someone gets injured, there's a big process that people go through with these things. And so we have a unique way of having to get a hold of people, right? When someone has non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, the first thing they think of is not, did I use Roundup, right? But there's scientific proof that was linked to that. It's typically months later, years later, or someone tells them, or they see something that this could potentially be linked, and they think, wow, I used Roundup all the time growing up, or I was a landscaper, whatever that link was, that link has to happen. And then they have to say, well, who do I call? There's not really, no one knows what law firm to call for that type of thing, right? And so really what we're trying to do is make sure that we're there when people need it, but also build that link for people, right? If they don't know that they have a claim, make sure that they're made aware they have a claim. So we're having to let them know as well. And so it's not the same as a billboard or branding or anything like that. We're having to make people aware and then also let them know that we can help them find a qualified attorney. And when you talk about something like Roundup, you're talking about 10 to 15 law firms in the nation really qualified to handle those cases. And so it's not like you can call the local criminal attorney or the local auto accident attorney. You need to be with a very specific law firm to make sure you're handled correctly.
Mm-hmm. Essentially, your company is a thumbtack for attorneys.
It's a way to make sure that these claimants get placed with the right attorney, because a lot of times what we see is that attorneys will take these things on and they shouldn't be in some scenarios. And so it's really it's more than just a thumbtack in this, from the standpoint of we want to make sure they're with the right attorney, right? Yes. It's not just for any attorney. And we do a very good job of vetting who we're sending the cases to, and we've gotten much better over the years, because it's important for us that when we're helping that law firm get that claimant, that they're going to be taken care of, because the worst thing that we can do is put them with someone that's not going to take care of them. That's not helping anything, right? And that's not helping our vision. It's actually hurting.
In your site, after someone has gone to the attorney, can they return and rate and review your service? And is that publicly available?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. So there's no problem with them doing that if they want to. I think that the bigger thing is if we take care of them with those attorneys, right? There's only 15 in the nation, then we're doing our job. And so we do a very good job vetting those attorneys. And when those people make it to that attorney, when you're looking for where my answer is and have no clue what attorney to call, these attorneys are really, really incredible at what they do. When you're talking about an attorney who can sit for 5 years and wait on a contingency fee contract to come in and litigate cases for 5 years and not have a single dime come in until year 5, potentially, or maybe even longer before these litigations end. They're really incredible at what they do. And so not being too many of them qualified in the nation to do that, they typically are very thankful that they land in that place, I think.
Yes. The terms lawyer and claim are among the top 10 most expensive Google keywords. How does Broughton Partners utilize Google Ads cost effectively?
Yeah, I think mesothelioma is the number one, right?
Yes.
Worldwide. Yeah, it's a tough, it's a very competitive space. It's a space where people are willing to pay a lot. And so you have to be willing to spend a lot, right? But you also have to be willing to, you have to know which mediums are working. And so we're medium agnostic. We run on TV, we run on Google, we run on Bing, we run on Facebook, we run on anything that's ethical to run on, right? And so how you reach a Roundup claimant may not be the same way you reach a 3M claimant. It's really not, right? But we want to make sure that we're running all mediums at all times so that we can collect data, because we've seen throughout torts where a medium that was working really well switches to another medium. And so we want to be in the place where we can help the claimants. And so we're always staying in all mediums with some type of spend across all the torts. And then we're optimizing toward that spend.
In terms of compensation, do you offer your services on a subscription basis, a per case basis? Also, are you compensated based upon the award to the claimant?
Not compensated based on the reward to the claimant.
Okay.
We're not lawyers. We are compensated on a qualified retainer that we provide them that meets criteria. So we're basically taking their money and we're spending it. And instead of saying, like traditional marketing agencies, we'll take 15% of what you spend with us, we say, we'll take your money and based off of how many qualified retainers we provide you, we'll take that much out of the balance, right? And so it's very similar to, it's performance based. We're putting our back against the wall and saying we can do it for this amount, which makes us stay on top of the pricing. It's it's kind of I don't know what to compare it to, but it's
similar to a retained search, an executive search firm with a retainer.
Right. We're basically putting our back against the wall, but we're not guaranteeing anything, right? We're guaranteeing that if we don't do it, you'll get your money back.
Yes. Your market is primarily addressing personal injury. Have you addressed corporate litigation? Any other areas?
So we do really well where there's a lot of claimants for one litigation, right? And so corporate litigation and whatnot, where you have one defendant, one plaintiff, there's really not much there to be advertising for, and they get set with an attorney quickly. And so we're primarily in mass torts. That's the only thing we're currently in. And we've been in other things before in the beginning, and we talked about expanding, but I think that there's still so much we can be doing in this area, and this is our vision and mission, and everybody's united behind it. And so this is where we plan to be for a while, and plan to get better in this area, right?
Yes.
Instead of having a roadmap of expanding out, we want to expand further down.
Last question: who's your competition?
There's quite a few people we compete against across the nation. I would say the biggest competition that we compete against is local marketing agencies for law firms, right? And TV spend agencies for law firms. And a lot of law firms traditionally went with TV spend, and that's been changing over a while. And so TV advertising agencies, and marketing companies that produce leads for people is our biggest competition, I would say, across the nation. But there are people who specialize in this arena. But when you talk about the people that we would lose to the most, I would say you're talking about internal law firm marketing efforts and marketing agencies for those law firms. And it's about showing that we can get a better result and help them with more people, and also deliver it to them in a more seamless way that the claimant's happy, and put a big emphasis on that, and also make it easy for them, right? So they can be good at what they do and be attorneys. And they didn't go to school to be marketers. They didn't go to school to be developers. They went to school to try cases. And so if we can help them be successful there, we can also help the claimant at the same time. And so it's a win-win.
Yes, definitely. And certainly you're vetting it and also presenting it in their case management system as well. So that's another value add.
Absolutely.
All right. So to you, is there any questions that we should have asked you that we didn't, that you would like to share with us?
I think y'all did a great job covering it. I consider myself to be very blessed. I think that we have been very, very blessed, and I'm very grateful for where we're at as a company. I think that I have one of the most incredible teams on earth, and I think that people out there looking to start businesses and looking to do things need to understand their skill sets, and they need to understand what they have, and then build that team around them. And maybe they're not a number one. Maybe they're not the head person. They need to find that, right? Maybe they're a number two or number three person, right? And not saying 2, 3 as in order, but they're not the person leading the charge, and that's okay. You have to understand your skill set and build around the skill sets and find people that can help you carry out your vision and mission. And I think that sometimes that's overlooked, where people need to be self-aware and honest with themselves and say, I'm not the leader of this company. I'm not great at managing people. I'm not great at handling a team. And so you have to really understand your skill set, build your team around that. And that doesn't mean that saying that you're not the leader doesn't mean you're not the owner, right? Maybe you are the owner and you bring in a leader, but you have to understand what it's going to take to be successful, and don't be so caught up in your own ego to not realize your downfalls. Be self-aware enough to know what team you need to put around yourself, because it's about carrying out your vision and mission. If you care about that, then ego shouldn't be involved. And so ego is the one thing that keeps people from growing in life, I believe. And so be really self-aware where you're at, what your product is, what you do, and what you need to do to take it to the next level. And don't think that if I can't do it, I'm not going to let anybody do it. Know how to build a team.